Hi there, my name is Shrike. I am new to YouTube as a creator, and I have recently taken a hiatus from the restaurant industry in search of maybe making a career out of my art. So, to introduce myself, I am a multimedia artist. I like to paint, draw, write. I am also very philosophical. I like movies, music, and a lot of what I do involves analysis and finding a way to make anything intersectional. One of my passions that I've recently gotten back into is tarot. I am by no means an expert. I am very intuitive. But I feel like there is a fundamental misunderstanding of what tarot is and what it can offer you. And I would like to approach tarot on YouTube kind of as a bridge or a intermediary for other conversations, which is what tarot should, in my opinion, be used for self-actualization, for philosophical inquiry, and for just understanding the world as we experience it a little bit better. It is not, and I think this is an important distinction, inherently something that is a fortune-telling device. There are creators on YouTube who will say that they are psychic and that they can channel, and that is fine. That is that person, and they are someone who identifies as a psychic or channeler or any other label you want to put on it. But tarot itself is a vehicle for communication, and these people who are maybe soothsayers or future sight people, they use tarot as their intermediary, as their communication device for anticipating or helping you understand what may be to come. The way I approach it is much more immediate. It does have a resonant effect that will ripple outwards, and you will see lessons that the tarot can teach you always. There's always something to learn if you know how to look at it and if you know what questions to ask. So how I would like to be best of service to everybody on YouTube is by explaining in a digestible and more human or intersectional way how tarot can be useful for you, as long as we stay realistic about our expectations of what the cards themselves can do, what the person who is the querent, the person asking the cards the question, and if different, who the facilitator or the reader of the cards is. I'm a very philosophical person, and I love existential physics as a hobby. So how I like to look at it is there is no such thing as objective reality, because we are the consensus. There is myself, who is the interpreter, and you, who is the person receiving my video. How you interpret my information is completely reliant on you, your life experiences, how you understand the English language, which is the one that I'm using right now, and your understanding of nuance. I am fundamentally a non-binary person, and when I say that, I don't just mean gender roles, I mean everything. I do not believe that anything should be restricted to a binary. If you would like to pigeonhole or compartmentalize yourself into a binary, that is fine, but to do so of others, I think is missing the forest for the trees. You are seeing one aspect of someone and making a judgment on who they are as a whole. And this person, especially those of the non-binary or trans community, and regardless of whether your political affiliation is, I think we can all agree, we are all human beings that just want to be treated with respect and seen. And there are people who transcend the binary, whether it is altogether transitioning from one to another, or those who do not identify with it or reject it outright. That is a philosophical conversation that we can have, where I do believe the universe is inherently a trinity, and that threes are this divine provenance. I mean, we have the Stations of the Cross if you are Christian or Catholic, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's all communication. Bottom line, I am here to facilitate tarot as a communicator, as a philosophical person, and as a person who sees the universe fundamentally differently than those who want to reduce it to just a simple yes or no, a 0 or a 1, male or female. And I can understand, especially with tarot, since it balances the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which are personality archetypes and not inherently gendered. They transcend the binary, or will use the binary as a complement to balance and find equilibrium, which is why when you see 3s in tarot, you're going to see a lot of things about equilibrium, about collaboration. I don't know much at all about numerology, and I think this will be a learning journey for myself and others. We will learn from each other, and that is what I want to facilitate and to gain. I'll show you a little bit of my painting. I did this. I lost a lot of my art recently, and by recently I mean 6 years ago, when I kind of pivoted, and I'm ready to pivot again. This is one of those Pokemon fusions of Squirtle and Lickitung. My sketchbook needs to be built up, and I'm hoping that not only tarot, but creativity in general will be a facilitator for communication, and that we can see the world fundamentally different, not as you or me or other or the differences or our independence, but finding even the most maybe repulsive person to you or incongruous person to you and finding a way to relate to them. There are politicians that I disagree with fundamentally on so many levels. However, I will never debase them or minimize them to something less than human, because I can at least acknowledge that they are human and they are prone and privy to the pitfalls of humanity, which are hubris, ignorance, denial, just believing in one's abilities way too highly, way too lowly, or just any extreme. The world loves to identify things in extremes. I'm a good person, but that person with tattoos is bad because tattoos equal bad. And this whole complex human that I could learn is incredible is gone to me because I never gave them a chance. Because tattoo equals bad to one person. To me, tattoo means they have stories to tell and I want to hear them. And Shrike, my art persona, my nom de plume, which is even funnier because it is based off of the loggerhead shrike, which is a passerine bird that is about the size of a chickadee. It is tiny but mighty. It is predatory and it impales its prey on twigs, on thorns, barbed wire, and it will save it for later. So it also has the instinct to consider storing food, which is a consciousness level that a lot of people do not acknowledge Animalia to have. So, we are going to subvert expectations here. You are going to see this tattooed person who likes tarot and make a judgment. And I guarantee you, if you haven't clicked away, there were judgments that you were making. There are judgments you have of me now. I guarantee you, even the ones you have now are most likely only partially true. Because, and this is what we're going to learn together, we are both and we are all so very different and yet so very alike. And rather than rejecting why we are different, let us embrace why we are the same, and then we can lower the walls of the differences so that we can have real discourse and real growth. And I want you to change my opinion just as much as I would like to change your opinion of things that may not be serving you. Let us enter this contract with curiosity and with love. And even if you reject me, do so out of kindness and curiosity. Ask me a question and I will answer. And I will ask the tarot right now, what can we expect for my future on YouTube? And so this is what I have. So we have the Empress card. That is fantastic and exactly the message that I've been trying to send. That one, I just cut the deck and it came from the middle wherever the cards fell naturally. I regret not doing it on screen just for those who are naysayers, and that is fine. Next time. She embodies balance. It was upside down. A lot of people will say reversed. I say inverse, like turning a t-shirt inside out. A t-shirt is still functional when it is inside out. I can still wear it as a t-shirt. It is not the opposite of a t-shirt, so it is not reversed, it is inversed. And that is how I see tarot. There is always a message to be gleaned, and just because it's upside down doesn't make it inherently bad. So she is telling us, and I am telling you, reject the binary, embrace the binary, do them in tandem, find equilibrium, darkness and light, salt and pepper, black and white, he and she, race transcendence, animal transcendence. We can talk about animal ethics and ethical meat consumption, ethical any consumption under capitalism. What I want you to see and what she wants you to see, with her pomegranates around her and her crown representing Taurus, which is stubbornness, but in a way that is integrity. I have my core values, my pillars of who I am. My pillars, but they balance me, but they do not define me. She is both light and dark. She has the moon and the sun and pomegranate, which is pregnancy and fertility. And also the apple in the Garden of Eden was not likely an apple because they are not native to the Middle East. I am half native Middle Eastern. I was born in America, but my father was not. And my roots are tied very deeply to the Middle East. And a pomegranate was most likely what is interpreted as an apple. So it represents knowledge. It represents potential. And what this is saying is that you, even as a human being, when you were in your mother's womb, started as a zygote. You started as potential. And all potential, I hate to say this to anyone who is a little bit on the misogynistic side, we all start feminine, really neutral. The female is the default. And you can argue me that, but I'm using it in the simplest terms. And we're going back to the theme of sometimes we need to accommodate the binary in language and in ourselves, and other times we have to transcend it. So, babies start as potential. Until their chromosome activates that makes them male or female or intersex, and those hormones kick in, they will have a genital region that is not one way or the other, generally more female outwardly, but then the ovaries become the testes. The urethra extends down the shaft for a man and it stays up there for a woman. It's just, we have the same biology, it is just fundamentally reconstructed differently. So to philosophize that, we can think of Theseus's ship, the analogy of Theseus's ship. So that is your homework. We are not just the sum of our parts. If we remove parts or add parts, what part of us remains that is us? And that is an ethical conversation that can transcend many things. Animals, our identity, literal physical things like a vehicle. If I took a Cybertruck and I put wood paneling on it, is it still a Cybertruck? Or is it now a station wagon that I'm gonna take my family on a road trip with and see the Grand Canyon? You know? These questions, these philosophical questions want you to learn the rules, kind of like how Picasso or Jean-Michel Basquiat were more abstract artists. They still could paint and draw proper anatomy. They chose to break those rules, but before you can break the rules, you have to understand them. Tarot wants to tell you that. Philosophy wants to tell you that. Understand the rules and then question them. You can still follow the rules. You can stay with the status quo. But once you understand them, then you can begin to question them and break them and subvert them or transcend them. So the lesson today with the Empress, who is finding balance in your faith, in your logic, in your reasoning skills, and in your passions, in your gut instinct, and the little Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder telling you, maybe that's not the best idea, even though I want to indulge in this. It is foresight and impulsivity. It is finding balance. And to me, this is a 3, even though it is a 2, and it is representing the binary. It is also 3 because once you add, well, I'm not going to get all Terrence McKenna, or not Terrence McKenna, I'm going to get that way. Terrence Howard? 1 + 1, anyway. I didn't mean it that way. What I meant is, we can add to the binary by adding a 3rd probability. Think of quantum particles, right? Until they decide to become one or the other, they operate in this middle state. They are probability. They are the zygote. They are this untapped potential. And they can choose to pick a side of the binary, or they can stay in this probability state. But much like quantum particles, the more you try to observe them, the less they behave the way you expect. And the less they operate the way you hope they will. So even yourself, if someone's watching you too much, that's when you get, a little nervous. Let's say you're a really good pool player or snooker or whatever, and you talk a big game and then you meet someone and they're watching you and all of a sudden you choke. You've done this so many times. You're an expert. How do you choke? When they're watching you, why does it change the probability? Particles work similarly, tarot works similarly, philosophy works similarly, and Shrike works similarly. I want you to question everything, learn everything, break it apart and rebuild it, and make this world a better place for all of us, with a little bit more curiosity, a little bit more kindness, a lot less othering, and a lot more intersectionality. So, thank you so much, and I hope you like my channel. Please subscribe, and once I reach whatever YouTube decides is the right amount, I will probably start streaming and make this a much more interactive process. So thank you. Bye-bye.